General Hospital spoilers for the week of August 4th to 8th state that Jason Morgan will surprise Sonny Corinthos, while Harrison Chase suffers a heartbreaking blow. Rick Lansing will also face a loyalty test. So let's discuss what's next on the ABC soap. Anna Devane will meet Liesl Albrecht in an unusual setting by the docks. Meanwhile, Ava Jerome will discuss with Alexis Davis the possibility of releasing Rick from their blackmail deal, but it appears she will first put him through one final loyalty test. Rick is likely to disappoint Ava if it includes Elizabeth Baldwin and her rescue in some way. Rick clearly feels deeply about Liz and may end up prioritizing her needs. Chase will be distraught if Brook Lynn Quartermain delays their adoption plans. Brook Lynn will not feel comfortable establishing a new family, while there is still so much turmoil with Giovanni Gio Palmieri. Chase will then get into an argument with Michael Corinthos, so he may come to Willow Tate's defense, claiming that Michael is being unfair by withholding her children. Over with Sonny, he'll receive surprising updates during his conversation with Jason. Jason appears to be forthcoming about all of the evidence pointing to Britt Westbourne's survival. Sonny will eventually bond with Ada Justine Turner, so may some sparks fly? Are Sonny and Ada Turner moving into more romantic territory? Other GH teasers state that Lulu Spencer will meet a new ally who may be able to assist her. However, Lulu and Dante Falconeri will face further parental challenges, particularly if Danny Morgan gives Rocco Falconeri some hazardous counsel. Rocco may grasp onto Albrecht even more since his parents may be furious afterward. Dante and Lulu may blame Liesl for brainwashing Rocco, but he refuses to stay away. Carly Spencer will make a suggestion to Jack Brennan. Brennan and Carly appear to be spending some time developing their romance as Jocelyn, Jax and Vaughn prepare to sell their phony one at the Dalmatia Resort. Britt will defy the commands handed to her at the Five Poppies since she is bored of staying in her room all the time. If Britt ignores the demands set, she may face consequences. While Emma Scorpio Drake opens out to Trina Robinson about her growing love for Gio, Drew Kane will seek help from Elizabeth Baldwin. General Hospital spoilers hint that fans may expect a slew of tasty shocks in August. After all, it's sweeps month. Let's take a look at the secret PC drama that's about to explode like a Russian volcano. JH lovers. 1. Are Sidwell and Lucy spark? Have you seen how close Jen Sidwell and Lucy Coe have become? She is constantly there to encourage him and has no scruples, so falling into bed with a horrible guy would not bother her. Also, isn't it odd that Healthy Jens has gone so long without a female conquest? We believe that Lucy and Sidwell will succumb to temptation soon. What say you? 2. Emma tells Trina everything. Emma Scorpio Drake had to reveal her secrets to someone. So why not Trina Robinson? Is Emma disguising her feelings for roommate Giovanni Gio Palmieri? Definitely, maybe. Emma and Gio live together, although at her grandmother's house and out of convenience. We expect Emma to confront any feelings she may have for Gio, and Trina's counsel would be to tell him what's on her mind. 3. Sonny's surprising tie. Speaking of chemistry, Sonny Corinthos and Ada Justine Turner have plenty of it. These two always appear to be one kiss away from making out on the interrogation room table. Never mind that they're on opposing sides of the law, an illicit connection is even more appealing. Spoiler: Sonny and Justine are about to have a close meeting. Does this imply that they pursue their lust or that Justine arrests him? Make sure to tune in and find out. 4. Curtis and Jordan's temptation. Speaking of temptation, exes Curtis Ashford and Jordan Ashford will succumb. An forthcoming scene depicts Jordan and Curtis becoming too close for comfort. Will Curtis betray his wife Portia Robinson with his ex-wife? 5. Jason and Britt reunion. We saved the best for last. A Jason Morgan Britt Westbourne reunion. Gish fans are salivating at the instant these two lock eyes, and we can't blame them. This couple has it. There you have it, GH fans. Which scenario are you most looking forward to? Jason's reappearance had already wreaked havoc on Port Charles, but nothing could have prepared Sonny for what happened next. For months, Jason had kept his distance, lurking on the outside of old friendships and remaining cryptic about his intentions. Everyone wanted to believe he was returning for good for the family, but Jason had different plans. When he saw Sonny on the docks, the tension was evident. The two men stood still for a moment, the shadows of their common history reaching between them. Jason seems resolved rather than enraged. It was hardly a rage-fueled confrontation. It was something deeper, something definitive. Sonny didn't see it coming. He assumed this was a meeting to clear the air, perhaps even rebuild confidence. But Jason had made up his mind. He bluntly told Sunny that he could no longer follow him. The line Sunny had crossed, alliances formed out of desperation, the chaos wrought on those closest to them, had all altered the guy Jason had once trusted as a brother. Jason's loyalties, while firmly rooted in the people he loved, had evolved in ways Sunny couldn't reverse. It was not about betrayal. It was about principles. Sunny's expression darkened. He did not yell. He did not threaten. It would have been easier. What he gave Jason was worse. A look of anguish, bewilderment, and simmering rage. Sunny had lost a lot over the last year. But losing Jason's loyalty was something quite else. Jason went away first. He did not flinch or look back. He knew this would have far-reaching consequences for him. But he also knew that if he stayed at Sunny's side, more people would be injured. Elsewhere, Harrison Chase was dealing with his own type of sorrow. For so long, the detective had managed to balance his career, his personal life, and his strong sense of duty. However, sometimes the weight of being the good guy becomes too much. And this time it came crashing down in the most intimate of ways. Brook and Lynn had fought to keep their relationship together, to fight for their love, but love isn't always enough. A mistake, a secret kept too long, a betrayal she had no idea would cut so deep. It all stacked up. Chase was always willing to forgive, but this time he couldn't. The knowledge that the lady he intended to spend his life with had not trusted him with the complete truth destroyed something inside him. His reaction was not explosive. It was quiet. The kind of heartbreak that does not scream. It simply drains a person out. Chase has spent a long time protecting people. He could no longer defend himself from this. Brook and Lynn attempted to explain. She implored him to take her side. However, Chase had already checked out emotionally. He still loved her. This was the cruel part. But love did not change what she had done. And as he walked out of the flat they had shared, the quiet she was left with said it all. She knew he wouldn't be back for a while. Perhaps not ever. Meanwhile, Rick Lansing walked a precarious tightrope. Loyalty had never come easily for him. He was too calculating and used to playing both sides to be trusted completely. But now he was presented with a test he couldn't avoid. Someone had learned about his previous dealings, a whispered tip-off that he'd been in contact with a player that no one wanted back in Port Charles. Rick had reasons. He always did. He was attempting to gain leverage, playing a long game that only he could see clearly. But when the walls began to close in, he found himself face to face with Jordan, who did not play games. She did not accuse him explicitly. She did not have to. Rick sweated just by the way she looked at him, as if she knew everything. She asked him directly if he was still loyal to the people he pledged to defend. For once, Rick did not have an answer ready. His thoughts raced with justifications, excuses, and scenarios in which he could wiggle out and save his own skin. But it all sounded empty. He was being tested in ways he hadn't expected. He could either destroy the bridge he'd begun to establish with TJ and Curtis by lying again, or he could finally come clean and risk losing everything. Rick had never confessed. It was not his nature. But it wasn't just about him anymore. The guy he used to be, the one who twisted everyone to gain an advantage, was still inside him. But for once, he questioned whether he was ready to let that version of himself die. As these three storylines unfolded simultaneously, Port Charles braced for the impact. Sunny returned to his penthouse with a drink in hand, peering at the door as if Jason may walk back through it. He would not. That was something Sunny knew deep down. This was more than simply a crack in their friendship. It was a fracture that would not heal quickly, if at all. He attempted to convince himself that Jason had changed, that he had been gone too long. But part of Sunny couldn't help but wonder if he was the one who had changed too much. Chase remained in the locker room long after his shift had ended, his head in his hands and still wearing his badge. It felt heavier now. It felt as if everything he stood for was being chipped away. He had become a detective to make a difference, to bring order to a world in which people were being wounded for no apparent cause. But now he couldn't keep his own life together. The only woman who regarded him as more than just a badge had let him down. All he could do was sit in silence, allowing the anguish to sink in his bones. Rick stood in front of his bathroom mirror, gripping the edges of the sink as if they were the only thing keeping him standing. His reflection peered back, scared and uncertain. He could still fix it. Maybe. But that would imply severing relations with someone powerful, someone who did not tolerate betrayal lightly. And yet, if he didn't make a decision now, he'd miss his last chance to show that he wasn't the same old Rick. Somewhere deep down, he hoped that his next step would not jeopardize his remaining reputation. Port Charles is a town founded on secrets, betrayals, and rare moments of truth. Jason's rejection sent shockwaves across not only Sunny's world, but the whole Corinthos business. Who would fill the void now? Who could Sunny trust now that Jason has walked away? The solutions were not obvious, but the implications were already in action. Brook Lynn tried to contact Chase again, but each call went to voicemail. She sent long, agonizing messages, her voice cracking with each word. She made a mistake, but it was not malicious. It was fear of losing him, of the truth destroying everything they had. But now, stillness was her punishment. She wasn't sure whether he would forgive her, but she wasn't ready to give up hope. Rick eventually reached a conclusion. He called Jordan. He did not reveal everything, but he did tell her enough. Enough to put himself in danger. Enough to indicate he was trying. It was no longer his responsibility to determine whether it was too late. He hung up the phone and sat down, waiting for the aftermath. For once, he wasn't attempting to manipulate the story. He was simply ready to face whatever came next. In the days that followed, the aftershocks of these events shook the entire community. Ava saw Sunny was more tense than normal. Carly attempted calling Jason, but he did not respond. Jocelyn posed questions that no one could answer. Michael saw Chase at the station and nearly said anything but didn't. TJ asked Curtis whether he had heard from Rick, unsure whether he wanted to. Every character was affected in ways both visible and unknown. Some injuries were emotional, others were strategic. But they all had one thing in common. A profound, uneasy sensation that nothing in Port Charles would ever be the same. Not after Jason had walked away. Not after Chase closed the door. Not after Rick chose a side. These weren't isolated incidents. They were the start of something bigger. Allegiance changes, long-awaited reckonings, and holes in the foundation that kept Port Charles together. Nobody knew what happened next. But everyone realized something had changed. And not everyone would survive what was to come. Justine hadn't expected Sunny to show up unannounced for her gallery opening, but there he was, waiting at the glass doors, wearing his typical dark suit and a barely discernible expression. Her heart fluttered in spite of herself. He had not called or texted since the confrontation at Metro Court. But something had changed. It was in the way he looked at her now. Less guarded and more focused. The tension between them had been building for weeks, ever since Justine arrived to Port Charles. A few fleeting glances, unintentional touches, unfinished conversations, none of it ever addressed, all of it charged. Tonight, the air surrounding them crackled as he moved through the crowd, pausing only when he was near enough for her to smell his scent. "Nice turnout," he casually commented, his voice low and familiar. "Didn't think art was your scene," she said, attempting to match his cool, but her pulse betrayed her. He grinned barely. "I'm here for the artist." Sunny didn't waste time. After the last toast was raised and the gathering thinned, he stepped away from the conversation and signaled for Justine to follow. She hesitated for a bit, but she followed. They ended themselves outside behind the building and near the riverwalk. The moonlight bathed them in silver, and the noise of the town receded into the distance. "You've been avoiding me," he stated, facing her. "No more than you've avoided me," she replied. "Why are we doing this?" He inquired, coming closer. "We both know there's something here." Justine didn't say anything. Her fingers touched his cheek. Then his mouth met hers, and weeks of unspoken tension faded into heat and hunger. It wasn't gentle or simple. It was messy, fierce, and real. Later, as they sat against the wall, breathless and entwined, Justine said, "You're still in love with someone else." Sunny didn't dispute it. "Maybe," he answered. "But tonight I'm here with you." That was enough for now. Willow was unraveling over town. She had been strong for so long for Michael, Wiley, and Amelia. But strength had its limitations. Her body had recovered, but her heart had not. Her spirit was marked with indelible scars. She stood at the gate of the Quartermain estate, clutching her phone and trying not to cry. She had asked Michael for something simple, or so it appeared. She wanted to spend time with the kids. Real time. Unfiltered. Alone. Michael had paused. That is what haunted her. He did not say no right away. But he paused, and Willow heard everything she feared. That he did not trust her. That he believed she was fragile. That maybe, just maybe, he thought she wasn't fit to raise his children alone anymore. I just want to be with them, she explained, her voice shaking but steady. I am not asking for forever. Just an afternoon. Just give us some space. He looked away, which was worse than yelling. Back at the Savoy, Drew Kane was nursing a drink while paying significantly more attention to Curtis than he admitted. Curtis was attempting to hold it together by running the club, acting as host, and being the charming businessman everyone anticipated. But Drew knew better. He spotted the fissures. Curtis had been spiraling since Portia had moved out, but he refused to admit it. Drew had addressed him earlier that week. You pushed her away, man, he'd stated frankly. Curtis retorted. And you don't even see it. She didn't understand what I was going through. But Drew wasn't buying it. She did, he replied. You just didn't let her in. Tonight, Curtis pretended everything was good by cracking jokes and shaking hands. But he couldn't take his gaze away from the corner booth, Portia's favorite. It sat vacant, a stark reminder of what he had lost. Drew did not need to push anymore. He could see it now. Curtis knew. He blew it. Dex paced amid the shadows of the Corinthos organization. He'd learned of Sunny's sudden disappearance from the gallery event, and it troubled him more than he wanted to admit. Not because he believed Sunny was in danger. No, it was the person Sunny was with. Dex had been keeping an eye on Justine for weeks, ever before Brook heard rumors that she might be playing both sides. Sunny did not believe it. Dex wasn't too sure. He accessed the surveillance feeds using his own covert setup near the gallery's exit. What he saw reinforced his fears. Sunny and Justine were too close and intimate. Damn it, he said under his breath. This was more than just a distraction for Sunny. It was a vulnerability. Vulnerabilities led to deaths. He had to make a decision, report it or remain silent. In any case, the consequences would be severe. Over at the hospital, Elizabeth Weber was dragged into another shocking revelation, this time about legacy rather than romance. A young patient had come, unconscious and without identification. But the moment Elizabeth saw his face, her heart froze. He looked exactly like Lucky. Same eyes, same jawline. The same storm is behind the look. Who is he? She asked the EMTs. Have no idea. He was located near Route 19. Alone. Her hands shook as she studied him. She didn't want to hope, but she couldn't avoid it. Could it be Lucky's son? Has he returned? Or was it someone else? She called Laura, her voice tight. I believe you should come to GH. Now. The mystery grew deeper when DNA tests indicated the boy possessed Cassadine markers. That changed everything. It wasn't simply a potential Spencer relative. This was linked to the family's deepest secrets, and possibly to Nicholas. Nina was swirling her tea at Metro Court, attempting to get rid of an odd feeling. Ava had been behaving aloof recently, which worried her. Ava didn't keep quiet. When she wasn't scheming, she vented. But what happened recently? Silence. Felt foreboding. Nina tried asking gently, then not so gently. Ava shook it off both times. But tonight, when she passed by Ava's table, she saw something. Ava's hand was quivering slightly as she held her phone. She was messaging somebody. The message was brief but unambiguous. He knows. Meet me at the pier. Midnight. Nina tried not to jump to conclusions, but her instinct said different. She had a choice. Confront Ava or follow her. She picked the latter. She texted Martin just in case. If something happened tonight, she didn't want to be alone in the crossfire. In the meantime, Jason had kept a low profile. The whispers about Sunny losing his edge and becoming too emotionally involved came back to him. He wasn't quite ready to take over, but he was always keeping an eye on things. When he heard about Justine's condition, he felt a spark. Not jealousy. Not exactly. But something colder. Something whispered. Sunny is slipping. Jason met Carly that night. She appeared tired, more than tired. It's all coming apart, she said. Willow is losing it. Drew is distracted. Curtis is outraged. Jason leaned closer and said, "And now Sunny's with her. Would you like me to step in?" Carly did not respond right away. When she spoke, her voice cracked. "Not yet. But maybe soon." That was all Jason required. He stood up and went away, his mind already planning his next steps. The night finished with another surprise. Valentine came inside his hotel suite and discovered Charlotte waiting for him, with Anna. They'd been chatting alone, which shot a thrill through him. "What is going on?" he asked. Charlotte did not speak. Anna did. "Your daughter has something to tell you." Charlotte's voice was barely heard. "I know who has been watching you." Valentine froze. The game had changed. So much had changed in one night. Lovers clashed. Families were fractured. Secrets moved from the shadows to the light. And in the midst of it all, Port Charles kept spinning, propelled by desire, regret, ambition, and a yearning for control. The shocking revelations of August 5th were far from ended. They had barely begun.